the guests today, either they have a duty or they have a court responsibility and also the work responsibility. So we gathered together, running to the spot like our host today, Robert. Right now, he currently sitting in the Madonna corner after the courtroom. He's a lawyer too, and I also just run on from the train and run up to my office from New York and my home. And I think the three officer NYPD here. They have been here waiting for us, and then we have more than 100 people here online with us. So thank you everyone today. I'm very, very excited to kicking off this event because this is the first time the NYPD, the whole team collaborate with us. And then, Alliance for Impact, everybody, maybe many of you already, our audience, you know who we are. We are Chinese Coffee Club, and majority of the people, I would say 95% are American Chinese. So our vision is bonding, bridging, and empower. And we like everyone learn knowledge from this group. So a couple of days ago, sorry, this is a little bit in Chinese. 就是我现在 shift to Chinese. 就是现在我们正好上个星期呢，我是赞助这个华夏中文学校。大纽约总校，所以他们说 Angeline, can you make a one page to tell us what you have been doing, your organization has been doing in last 2 years? So sorry, this is not a beautiful graph. This isn't in midnight. They give me 1 hour and I come up everything what we do in last 2 years. So I would give a little bit summary here. So Alliance for Impact, we are nonprofit. In last 2 years, we have more than 400 seminars. We also have audience in the last 12 months. It's more than 100,000 people in Chinese in North America. And also we have more than 30,000 families. 70% come from North American and about 15% from Canada and about 10% from China. And then today I'm running our Zoom dashboard. Amazing that, we have average about 10,000 to 20,000 active listener every month. We have been continue. Totally, we have about 20 Zoom. The program, as you can see, we have so many programs here just in the last 2 years. And we have more than 200 volunteers from all over the world. So I want to say thank you, everyone. So today, similar like NYPD, the whole team here, and then with many of our volunteers who participate in many of this program, they are heroes. Okay, they are heroes during the pandemic. They are heroes here on our platform to try to help everyone. So I'm summarized in 4 blocks. One is for adult seminar, and an adult seminar we're being invited very influential people. We have invited finance, investment, technology, blockchain, metaverse. We also focus on the career communication workshop and health. We also collaborate with the physician or nonprofit, and they're willing to come to give us the health knowledge. Sometimes we also interview very famous, outstanding artist person, and we have an Art Together program. And then like today, we're also talking about not just the public service that NYPD offer, and this is the financial fraud and scam has become very hot topic. And we also have, on the lower, we also have a parenting center. We're being provide a lot of, if you are the first time see this graph, and also we just send out this week, if you are only in one of the group, please ask your group owner and transfer you to different group. So we have a parenting center. They have a many group that every week, almost every night, they have this free training, free class, and focus on disability and also parenting and also the mental health. We have a special education class that we have a wonderful, wonderful teacher's hand. She has been provided time to training about 40 students who have a disability and teach them cooking and different things. Definitely, I want to, this is a definitely great group that I put my heart on that. And then I want to thank them. Every group leader, they put the time, they never ask for anything. So when we give them the gift card, they return back to us. So for the year 5, we also successfully this year launched the Youth Volunteer Society, and we have the United Nations Leadership Program. We also offer the Finance Investment Weekly free Wall Street Talk, and every Sunday, 7 p.m. please just pay attention on year 5 and you can dial in. And we also have a social impact conference for youth. We also just start the new Career Explorer series for all the college student and high school student. We'll start with a finance career, and the next section probably the technology. So, and we also currently have a youth sustainable investment competition, and we are almost close to the deadline to the SDG art competition. So far, we already have a couple hundred students join the investment competition, and we receive almost 100 art competition by now. So if you want to join that, if your kids want to join that, we give out the cash prize, and everybody, if you participate, we will give you the volunteer certification and also the participation certification. And in the 2 weeks ago, we have very brave young men launch a new series of the seminar called The Voice of the Asian Youth. So it's advocacy for voice out. And I'm very happy that our platform start to have this ecosystem, have a youth, the working class and entrepreneur, and also the parents and the grandparents. So of course, we also not just talking about the career, right? Finance. We also have the wellness series. We have the famous Sky Gym team. They offer start from January 1st until now, never stop. They have every single day provide a free yoga, dancing, and all kind of fitness class. It's online. It's all offered by licensed teacher who want to give out to the society. We also have the gardening group, and where you can exchange the seeds and explain how to gardening. And we have the food channel. We have the travel channel. And recently, we just launched the movie, the casting call, and also advertising opportunity that if your kids want to get in the advertisement commercial, please join this kind of group. So maybe you'll say, wow, you have so many. We have this barcode. If you want to see all the more than 200 seminar replay, please scan all those barcode. If you go to your WeChat group, if you are already inside our WeChat, you should find this chart that in yesterday's and today's message. And please join all our volunteers. They are motivated by how many people join the seminars, join the classes, because they offer the free time and they want to see more people to benefit that. So before our tonight's great seminar, I would want to also forecast tomorrow night. We have a Kelly Town who is 20 years in Wall Street and 20 in the finance. She also have 5 kids, very successful. I thought I have 4 kids. I already, have more kids than many people, but now I found a very young mother that have 5 kids, and 2 of the kids are in daughter in Columbia. And she sent her daughter to become my volunteer assistant, 2nd grade. So tomorrow night, if you want to hear how can you work same time raise 5 kids, now she actually last week joined Alliance for Impact, become our CFO. So welcome, please pay attention, and tomorrow night join the same time. So I also want to tell you that next Friday we invite most famous lawyer in New York. She has a full scholarship graduate from Harvard Law School, and she'll be named 3 times the best lawyers in New York. So she's gonna talking about the current U.S. policy. How do this policy influence your company or all kind of business? And I invite her because I joined one of her seminar, and I think many of our people, wanted to know from the real lawyer, what's the view from the legal standpoint. If you are a business person, I definitely encourage you to listen to this seminar. And that is next Friday. Okay, now, tonight we have a little bit longer introduction because we just summarized all we do in the last year. I would encourage in the next month, many of you, if you feel benefit our platform, please generous to donate to us, because our operation also need a budget. So now, tonight, I'm going to turn the floor to Robert. First of all, I want to introduce our host tonight. Robert 北小刘律师哈 Robert is our AFI General Counsel. So in the last 2 years, he has been spent a lot of his time to helping many people from AFI for all kind of legal issue. So he become more and more successful, and he recently has been reporting his case successful, and he has been reporting CNBC. And also now he signed on with many large companies. So if your business need any legal consultation, please feel free to reach out to him. But again, tonight, I'm honored to have Robert to become the host, even he just finished his court. Oh, by the way, Yang, so I would want to, so definitely Captain and the whole team here, I'm going to let Robert, you're going to introduce them. And I just want to mention that 3 captain, the whole team come to my office. They tell us how much they want to give back to the Chinese Asian community. So you don't know how busy they are. Sometimes they have duty in the night, but 3 of us tonight, they spend the time, especially Captain Ann has been spent time to prepare all those case study, and he want to give all of us a very good seminar. So he's really use his time. And before I turn to Robert, I want to thank Tsinghua University alumni. So we have a local great New York alumni, and also the overall Tsinghua alumni in North American. And then Mr. Yang, he is the current president. He also has been dedicated, spent his 20 years time to volunteer in all those alumni community. So I would want to just before again, so maybe quickly, Brian, you can give just few seconds to introduce yourself. And by the way, they are the one introduce Captain, the team to us and want us to host this seminar. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Angela. Thank you, Angela. Everyone, first, many thanks to Captain Brian and all the officers to be our speaker of the event this evening. We are very happy to join Alliance for Impact to co-host this event. As the president of North America Federation of Tsinghua Alumni Associations, I'd like to briefly introduce our organization. North America Federation of Tsinghua Alumni Associations was formally established in September of 2017, and it was approved by IRS as a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Our members are local Tsinghua alumni associations in North America, just like the United Nations. So the members are the local alumni associations. So far, we have 35 local alumni associations in North America as our members. We can reach it out to around 30,000 Tsinghua alumni in the United States and Canada. 我再用半分钟吧，用中文讲一下，好吧？
好，可以。
北美清华校友会联合会，我们简称联合会呢，是在2017年9月份呢正式成立的，并被美国的联邦税务局审核批准，认定为符合501C3的免税的条款的非营利机构。联合会呢是由北美地区的清华校友会组成的非营利、非宗教、非政治性的联合团体。我们的会员单位呢是北美各地区的清华校友会啊。目前呢我们有35个在美国和加拿大地方的校友会是联合会的正式成员，我们能辐射到差不多有3万的那个清华校友。好，谢谢安姐。
好，对，我最后我再想感谢 I want to thank many organizations help us to send and promotion tonight's event. 他们是 AFS 亚洲金融学会，还有西部纽约的华人协会，清华大学、复旦大学、厦门大学。中国北美浙江大学、人民大学、天津大学、武汉大学，还有这个交大医学院，还有我们的加州的 Mighty Coach， 还有这个龙鹰卫视 Detroit 的，还有上海财经大学，这个南京大学，然后还有我们华夏纽约中文学校。好的，我知道今天时间我们确实是因为今天是第一次哈，我们以后我们会经常有 NYPD 来给我们做讲座，所以我们今天呢就是花一点时间。好的，那 Robert 你还需要我的这一页吗？你可以介绍这个警官。你要 unmute 一下 ，Robert， you got to unmute yourself。好。
Thank you, Angelina. Hi, everyone. I'm Robert Liu. I'm an attorney in New York. I'm very honored and happy to be your host for tonight. I guess Angeline wanted me to be the host for tonight because she wanted me to really concentrate on the session to learn as much as possible. So without further ado, I will get right into this. So tonight we're very honored to have three excellent officers from New York Police Department to talk to us. We are very honored to have Captain Brian In. Captain Brian In is currently a commanding officer in the Financial Crime Task Force of NYPD. He is a former commanding officer in the Queensboro South Zone number 24. And we also have Officer Wu and Officer Lee with us tonight. Let me turn this over to the three of them to let them introduce themselves more fully. I can't speak all the terminologies right, so I think it's more appropriate to let them introduce themselves to you more appropriately. Captain Wu, I'm sorry, Captain Ng, to you.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Angeline. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, AFI. Really happy to be here with you tonight to give me this chance to talk about things that are kind of important to me because, one, I see a lot of things going on with fraud and scams, and for me, it's all about getting the word out and raising awareness and preventing these really, really sad stories from hopefully occurring in the future. But a little bit about me. I have been with the New York City Police Department for the last 18 years. Currently, like you said, the commanding officer of the Financial Crimes Task Force, and I'll go into a little bit about what we do later when we get through the slides. But I'd like to give a chance for my colleagues here. These are both colleagues and friends of mine from our Asian Fraternal Police Society, the Asian Jade Society. But I'd like just for them to introduce themselves and where they work. So we'll start with.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Officer Wu. I've been on the job for 5 years. I'm doing a patrol in downtown Brooklyn, working the NYPD 84 precinct. And it's a great honor for me to be here with everyone. And I also gonna do some translation regarding to some case and try to explain some cases, maybe in Chinese. We have an audience maybe more comfortable with Chinese. So, yes.
Thank you. And
hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. I'm Officer Lee. I've been at NYPD for the past 7.5 years. I work in the 5th precinct, which covers Chinatown and Little Italy in Manhattan South. My duty as an officer in 5th precinct is a traffic enforcement officer. And I'm also here to help out if you guys have any questions in regard to the NYPD or anything in regard to the crimes. Thank you.
Thank you. So, yeah, so I guess if there's questions or anything that arise during the course of this talk, we'll be checking out the chat. I don't know if Robert, you want to maybe moderate the questions later on, but
right. So Captain Yin, yeah. So I think well, during our prep session, I heard that you want this to be a more informal session. Yeah, you want this to be a more like conversation with members of the community.
Yeah, I could well, I have a slide deck to put on.
Right. So I want you to go through your slides first, and then we have like a Q&A session. How about that?
Okay. That sounds great.
Yeah, why don't you just start with your slides, and we'll cover all the questions later.
Okay. So let me put my screen up. Okay. Yeah, so sorry, was that? It's you guys can all see this, right? The scam.
Yeah, yes, we can see it fine. Yeah.
Thank you. So yes, like I said, I work in the Financial Crimes Task Force. It's a unit of the NYPD, and I know that identity theft and things like that are peripheral to scams, but I like to go through scams that I understand there's a lot of students in the organization, maybe people who are attending school who weren't from here, And we want to go through some of the things that will we think affect them, those types of scams. But let me to the next slide. So a little bit about what I want to go through tonight. The agenda is I'm going to give a little overview of the NYPD for those who aren't familiar with the organizational structure and some of the way the NYPD works with the community. Some of the current crime trends, I won't go too far into that. And then we'll go into some of the common scams that we've been seeing come across our desk and the cases that we've been taking. And then some general tips and some resources, which is really, I think for me, the most important part tonight is to connect the people out there with the resources, not just the online resources, but some of the people and some of the places to report crimes and then find out more information. So I'm just going to start with an overview of the NYPD. It's a local police agency. As some of you may have heard of, like the FBI, Homeland Security, the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Administration, ATF. These are all federal law enforcement agencies. So the NYPD is a local police agency. It covers the 5 boroughs of New York City. We have approximately 35,000 people. It's organized into bureaus. These are the larger groups of, they house our divisions. The largest bureau is the Patrol Services Bureau. That has all 77 of our police precincts or the police stations that cover New York City. So this map over here is a map of the different precincts. Right now, me and my colleagues are here in downtown Brooklyn. This is the 84th precinct. Officer Lee works in the 5th precinct in Lower Manhattan. I don't know if you can see where the mouse is, but it's Lower Manhattan. And then Officer Wu does also work here in the 84th precinct. So this is the way it's organized. If you want to find out what your precinct is, there's a link here, which I'm going to try to drop into the, I don't have it here. I was going to try to drop this into the chat so people can find out which precinct they live in. When they go there, they can just type in the address and then find out who their precinct commanding officer is, who their local community officers are. So if they had any questions or problems locally, that's where they can go for that. It's this link here. I'll try to drop it in the chat later. And then the second biggest bureau is the Detective Bureau. That houses all the investigators. So every precinct has its own detective squad that investigates the crimes anywhere from petty theft all the way up to homicides. They have a wide range of things that they investigate. If you are the victim of a crime, generally speaking, the local precinct detectives will be the first detectives that you speak with. Then there's various specialty units in the Detective Bureau. There's special victims, there's the warrant squad, there's the robbery squad, and there's my financial crimes task force. So a little bit about my financial crimes task force. I have 6 squads, 26 investigators that investigate physical scams and physical theft. My organized theft squad looks into retail or high-end organized retail thefts. They look into a lot of these traveling crews. There's pickpocket crews, there are other transnational groups that will travel around the country here and perpetrate scams. Some of them involving jewelry, some of them involving, like I said, pickpockets, some of them involving following members of the community from the banks who take out money and do distraction thefts on them. That's been particularly, it's been spiking a little bit in the summer. And this is one of the things we won't talk about so much today, but it's just one of the crime trends that I've been seeing. And I have a few other squads that do a lot of the identity theft. We don't do so much in the embezzlement. That's usually in the federal arena. But we'll do a lot of crimes that involve unauthorized transactions. I saw some in the chat earlier. People are noticing money missing from their accounts, checks being stolen out of the mail. I have 2 squads that do that, and I have 2 squads that investigate a lot of cyber-related crimes. So we're looking at some of the things that we'll talk about later on with the investment and the romance scam, which is these are big dollar amounts that we're dealing with, and we're dealing with actors that are often in other countries. So my squads do a lot of good work across the different spectrum of what we call financial crimes or fraud crimes or scam crimes. There's so many of them. But tonight, we'll just talk about a few. June, I don't know if you want to talk about the NYPD and a little bit about the structure that we had in the slide that's up right now.
Yes, I just want to introduce about generally the NYPD, the structure. So in Chinese, so NYPD 它是差不多有35000到36000的人员，然后它 cover 整个纽约市5区，在行政单位上面它又分成8大区，其中曼哈顿、布鲁克林、皇后区这3个区呢分成南北，就皇后区南、皇后区北、布鲁克林南、布鲁克林北、曼哈顿南、曼哈顿北，然后全市一共有77个分局，那这77个分局的警员负责巡逻。我们平时一旦有案件啊、罪案发生，或者一些911车祸，那大家打911的时候，那这个911的云端中心它就会分配该辖区的警员去到这个事故的现场、案件的现场，然后警员会调查preliminary investigation， 然后写报告，写完报告之后，然后把这个发生的内容呢传给 detective bureau， 每个分局都有自己的 detective squad， 然后他们负责调查和跟进这个案件，然后去逮捕。然后全市有77个分局，大家在街上看到的警车，大部分就是分局的警车。那每辆警车的背后都有写这个分局的号码比如说 Midtown， 如果在 Midtown 呢，它有 Midtown South、Midtown North 2个 precinct， 那它可能就有写 MTS， 那就是 Midtown South。那如果你在 Harlem 可能是23分局 ，Downtown Brooklyn， 那你可以看到84分局，84写在警车上面。然后地铁我们有特别的地铁部门，负责全市的地铁运营，总共有12个地铁局，然后还有9个housing 负责 public housing， 负责公共的政府楼，他们负责政府楼的巡视和案件的跟踪。那排开这些就是 detective bureau， 就 Captain In 他是属于 detective bureau， 他们负责跟进和调查这个案件。那 financial crime task force 它是商业犯罪科，它就是细分出来的一个部门，他们重点跟踪一些就是关于 grand larceny， 就是大型的盗窃案，商业犯罪就是金额比较大的，还有一些诈骗或者盗用个人信息、个人数据，这样子。
Thank you. So I want to speak a little bit about crime trends that are going on. I know people watch the news. They see a lot of things about crime in this country, in the city. Just to go over a few of the big stats. So overall, major crime in New York is up 30.4%. It's thousands of crimes, and I'll show you the CompStat sheet in a second. That's how we kind of keep track of crime. CompStat's a program where we look at the crime numbers and the crime trends in an analytical way, try to understand where the crimes are happening, what's driving the crime, and then develop crime strategies to address them. In the beginning of the year, we saw a major increase in shootings and violent crimes, but with this precision policing that the department employs, we were actually end up being down right now in murders and shootings, 14.3 and 14.6% respectively. And I know Asian hate crimes was a big topic last year. It's a big topic this year as well. But it's good to see that it's trending down. This year, there's 73 incidents versus 116 last year. So that's a decrease as well. So for those of you who would like to know more about statistics, crime statistics, personnel statistics, there's a link to nypdonline.org. I'm going to just show you some of the things that you can look up on your own in your spare time. If you want to know about your neighborhood, you want to know about what's going on. So this crime dashboard takes you to a page that has the specific crimes in every precinct. So if we go over to, well, this is the citywide, these are citywide numbers. These are the crimes, total major crimes, and I'll ask June to explain what the major crimes are in a second, but it's murder, rape, robbery, felony assault, burglary, grand larceny of auto. This is a theft over $1,000. That's a grand larceny. Also theft of credit cards end up being grand larceny as well. Grand larceny of auto is a car theft. And you see it's up 34% for the year to date. It's roughly 24,000 crimes. And then we also track 28-day and week to date. This is what we talk about every Thursday at our CompStat meeting, just to see if we're deploying the resources in the right place. I'll just show you, for instance, if you go on this site, this is a public site. If we go down to Manhattan South, where Officer Lee works in the 5th, say you work there. Let's look in the last 28 days, there were 13 robberies. You click the 13 over there, we'll zoom in, and these are where they happened. This is just a tool if in your neighborhood you want to see where the crime's happening. This is for you. I think I'll let June explain that part, and then we'll go into the other pieces of the dashboard.
这里就是这份CompStat 这个 report 呢，是我们 NYPD 用于数据统计的一个系统。那主要它会记录我们主要分析最重要的有七大重案。那这七大重案的排序是谋杀、强奸、抢劫。那抢劫这里是要解释成 use force， 或者你使用武力，或者你威胁，然后呢从别人身上夺走他们的财物。那这些就是在我们定性一些罪案的时候呢，有一些因素我们必须要考虑进去，所以抢劫是排在第3，第4是 felony assault， 就是严重的攻击罪。严重的攻击罪，例如使用武器造成一个人的受伤，或者攻击一个65岁以上的老人，年长的人，那他这会把这个攻击罪呢加高一级。那下一个是 burglary 的意思叫做入室犯罪。只要是 trespass， 只要是非法进入一个他不应该进入的区域，然后造成罪案，那被定性成 burglary。再下一个 grand larceny Captain Yin 解释就是说，超过1000块以上的偷窃，那它就是变成一个重刑盗窃案，或者所有银行卡介入的也会直接被定性成重刑盗窃案。还有别人通过敲诈勒索从你这里夺走了财物，也是 grand larceny， 也算是大型盗窃案。那 grand larceny auto 就是所有的偷车还有偷摩托车，这是属于grand larceny auto。那这7大重案是我们平时每周3总局都会有一个会议，那就是主要就是 go over 这些最主要的这些罪案。
Thank you. And then so some of the other things that you'll see in the dashboard page, let me try to get back to it. For those of you who are interested in looking at the hate crimes numbers, that was another panel on the dashboard. And you can sort through it. This word cloud is the larger the word, the more crimes there are. So if you click A or hover over Asian, it was 73 for this period right now between January 1st of this year to September 30th of this year. So feel free to look at those resources, especially if it's affecting your neighborhood. It's a good place to look. And we'll go over some other resources that'll help you understand what's going on in your neighborhood towards the end. Most of the crimes that we're going to be talking about tonight fall into that grand larceny category. various financial crimes. And so these are the 6 different areas I wanted to go over tonight. It's not an exhaustive list. It's just what I thought was important to be aware of, especially rent and job scams. If you're a student, you're moving to New York for the first time, or any city for the first time, if you're listening from other places. There's a lot of these scams out there, and I just want to talk about some best practices associated with them. If you have any other scams that you come across or that you want explained, I mean, please send them to me. I don't know if we can go cover them tonight, but we could also, maybe I can point people in the right direction if they have other scam topics or fraud topics that they want to go over. But here it is, and so we'll just start off with ATM skimming. So ATM is a cash machine, automated teller machine. It's what you see in the front of the banks. It's what you'll see in some of these grocery stores or bodegas, as we commonly refer to them in some of the parts of New York. You use your debit card and you get cash out of the machine. These ATM skimming crews, we've noticed they come from a lot of Eastern Europe and a little bit of South America. And basically an ATM skim is where they'll place a device inside the machine that's going to read your debit card, the magnetic stripe on your debit card. And then there's another piece of the machine that they'll attach to either a video device or a PIN pad device that they put on top of the machine that's going to record your PIN number. We had a lot of that at the end of last year. There was a certain type of card that people were, that the skimmers were trying to compromise. And let me just show you a little what these things look like, and then we'll talk about a little bit about what you can do. There's only a few things you can do to protect yourself from this, but also the good news is that most of you who have debit cards will have chips on your cards, so it won't be able to take that much money out, because what happens is when they clone these cards, when they read the magnetic strip from the skimming device, they'll re-encode that on another card, but that card won't have the chip on it. And the ATM machines are sophisticated enough generally to know that this card should have had a chip on it. If it doesn't, it'll only dispense a few dollars. But let me just show you what they are, because these things are really technologically very interesting. So these on the left side here, these are the skimming devices. If you can imagine, they take the skimming device and they put it inside the machine through the card slot. You won't see it. It's not the skimmers that they had of old. So 5 years ago or so, it used to be the skimming device attached to the front of this machine, and you could kind of pull on it and it would come off. These are actually in the machine, so I would say don't bother looking for them. But over here, let's see, this piece is the magnetic strip reader. This is the battery pack, and this is the controller. There'll be a memory card here. It's really interesting piece of machinery that these scammers make themselves. Also, what they make themselves is this device here. So this is the back end of it, but this is a tiny pinhole camera. This red board here, and this is like a cell phone battery. And this little triangle is about 6 inches. And what it does is a little hole on the other side of this where I'm pointing here, and that's going to be aimed at your fingers at the pin pad. And it's going to capture your PIN number. Now, just take a look at this. This PIN pad area. If you notice this triangular video camera device is actually this piece right here that's taped onto the ATM. It's really indistinguishable if you weren't looking for it. And so they make these things in various shapes and sizes. So what I tell people, if you're using the debit card, the ATM machines, you want to cover your fingers as you're typing these numbers in. If they can't get your PIN number, they really can't do all that much with your debit card number once they skim it. But they're still around, and during the holiday season, they seem to come back to town, because it seems to be the season when people are taking out the most cash to go shopping. I'm going to go to the next one, rent scams. It's pretty simple, but there's so many variations of it. We see a lot. Well, the basic scam is that the scammer will pose as the owner of the apartment or the agent showing the apartment. You'll see them anywhere on, we've taken cases, off of Facebook groups. We've taken cases from some semi-legitimate housing sites, Craigslist. If you're looking and you're seeing rent, apartments for rent and things like that when you're moving here, I caution people to be very, very weary of this, especially if they ask for personal information up front. They might say, hey, we're going to do a background check before we start showing you apartments. This is when they're trying to actually probably steal your identity and do some other things with, they're not doing background checks. They're, using your PII for, identity theft and other nefarious things. So that's a red flag if they ask for personal information up front, like your date of birth, maybe there's some social security number. Well, you really shouldn't give your social security number to anybody, but they'll ask for things that they can use to get into other accounts. And another thing that we've seen a lot is that the keys won't be delivered. Well, the keys will be delivered not in person upon payment. So you've Zelled somebody, you Venmoed somebody, you wrote a check, but they give you the keys. It's not going to they don't give it to you in person. They send somebody, but they tell you to come pick it up away from the apartment. And those keys won't be to the apartment. Those keys will be, it's a scam. So the NYPD, there's a link on the bottom here. It's mostly about common sense, but we tell people is like, hey, if you're new to here, just try to find a friend or somebody that's already used an agent. It's very common when people move into the universities, and we see a lot of this come around, the August, September time when people are moving in for the first time. So those are the rental scams. Yeah, we've seen tons of variations of those. So job scams is something that we tried to bucket this into kind of, we know students are often looking for jobs, make ends meet, while they're paying tuition and going to classes. So these are things that you'll find when you're looking for a job, potentially, like, the Craigslist or some other places, especially if you're looking for like work from home. We've seen these types of scam opportunities come up, especially when people are searching for work from home or work at your own hours. And these are just three, but these are three of the big ones that we've seen, but there's definitely more. So drop shipping is one we call kind of like package forwarding almost. So this works. We had a young man come into the precinct and says, hey, I just got a job. They're going to pay me $1,000 to accept packages, and then to mail them out to other places. And he thought it was really fishy, and he was right. And they were going to pay him per package to send out. So what's happening in this drop shipping or this package forwarding scam is that the bad guys are buying things with stolen information. So either stolen credit cards or opening accounts using identity theft with other people's personal identifiable information. And they're sending it to your house. And then you're mailing it out to another location where the scammer has access to. So when the police track where that shipment that was made with a stolen credit card or an impersonation case, they're going to come to your door and you're just going to say, hey, I got this job. They just said to take these packages and ship them out. But that's a drop shipping scam. And if you're looking for work as a student, be very wary of that. Fake headhunters or fake job applications, that's pretty straightforward. We see a lot of fake jobs being offered. A lot of times they'll target college students because of their .edu email address. So if you or your friends are on campus and you've gotten some of these, these spam job applications or fake offers for, to help you find a job, sometimes they ask you to pay money for these leads. Sometimes they're actually just trying to steal your personal identifiable information. So you're going to sign up as if you think you're applying for a job, and they're stealing your PII once again. And this last group, check deposit or money mules. So the general scam, the general thing with fraud and with scammers, especially people dealing in the identity theft world is that they're always looking for ways to get cash out, stolen cash, illicit cash, funds that were, if they get tracked down, they would be seized and returned to the victim if it hasn't already moved. So very, very often, social media or even looking like a work from home type job, people are looking for somebody who has a bank account. So if you have a bank account, what they try to do is either transfer money in, wire money in, deposit a fraudulent check, deposit a counterfeit check, all these these fraudulent funds. They'll ask you to take it out and they'll give you a percentage. We have plenty of people that we see advertising online, even in the gang world. It's a big thing, fraud. They used to rap a lot about drugs and that kind of way of making money. It would be for another presentation, but I know some of my investigators who investigate gangs and fraud, that's really what they're into. They rap about it now, so it's memorialized in lyrics, and it's quite interesting how it's changed over the last, say, 10 years. But if anybody is looking to ask you to use their account because they don't have a bank account, they have to receive wire money from a relative overseas, but they don't have a bank account, that's where they get you here. And sort of in this vein, I think we could have parsed it out a little better. But often we see people, students, selling things to make money. So, they're selling books, they're selling art, they're selling, whatever they can to make an extra few bucks in school. So sometimes the scammers will respond to your own wanted ads or your own for sale ads. Sorry. We've had people who put items up for sale. The scammer will send a check that is greater than the asking price. So if they sold a bicycle, they were trying to sell it for $200, they'll send a check for $500, and they'll say, sorry, I misread it. Can you just send me that $300 back? And that's the scam there. The check they sent you is going to be fraudulent, and by the time you realize that it is, you've already sent them $300 back. And so that's one of the other things that we've been seeing on campus. And then gift cards, anything with gift cards. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but anytime anyone's asking you to pay something in gift cards or money pack or green dot cards, that's going to be a scam, most likely. There's no legitimate reason to have anybody pay using those. And that's unfortunately or unbelievably pretty common that people fall for it. And it's usually the elderly, unfortunately, but that's what we have there. But those are the things that those who are looking for a job might run into, the types of scams. So next one, phishing, smishing. This is kind of like affects everybody. It's well, I'll just read off here. It's a social engineering attack that uses emails, phone calls, or text to trick the victim into giving out their personal identifying information. So that's going to be like your login credentials. So over here, you see that this is a text message on the right side that I got. I don't have a Citibank account, but it's made to look like an alert from Citi. It says your primary account is locked. Please click this link. This link is going to go to a site that looks a lot like a Citibank login site. And what it's going to do is it's going to take your credentials as you try to log in. I can imagine if there's a lot of people on this call, if you look through your texts, you're going to find some of these, these kind of phishing attacks. That's what we call them. Kind of like, so it's just not, it's not just banks. You'll also see this in email. You'll see, we've seen Amazon orders that it'll say something like, hey, your Amazon order's on the way, and you haven't actually ordered anything. And it'll say log in here, if that's incorrect. And that'll be a link to another site where they'll try to steal your credentials. So we've seen Amazon, we've seen Netflix, we've seen UPS. Yesterday, a friend of mine, I was speaking to him. He got a link from what purported to be Grubhub, one of the food delivery services. And it when we did a lookup on it, it actually is the ISP, the internet service provider, was in India, and it obviously wasn't Grubhub. So I don't know if you want to put in the chat. It might help us if other people have seen phishing links to other, retailers or banks. What they've seen, it might also help other people to be on guard for that, because they're constantly evolving. Especially if you're an Amazon person. I do a lot of Amazon. Sometimes I don't remember what I order, but I could possibly fall for that, because I know that I do order a lot from Amazon. I'm sure a lot of people here do. So I will go to the next. So this is we bucket this into the police or government agency scam, and I think specifically we saw several cases. I know June has dealt with some of the cases here down in the NYU campus down here in Brooklyn. With this is primarily targeting Chinese immigrant students, Chinese Americans, anyone with Chinese last name. I don't know exactly where they're coming up with these lists. We know that people buy and sell lists on the dark web or Telegram channels all the time. But I'm pretty sure a lot of people are familiar with this, especially with the group that we have here. So the general scam is that somebody calls from purports to be from a government agency or a police agency. Phone numbers can be spoofed, so it might look like it's coming from a federal agency. It might look like it's coming from the Chinese consulate. Thankfully, this past June, there was they instituted some technology that was mandated by the government to make it more easy to detect spoofed calls. So if on your phone now you see calls that say scam likely, I know my carrier, when I see a lot of scam likely as in the caller ID pops up as scam likely, that means that the originating number is not matching the number that it is purporting to be. So it's likely spoofed and it's likely a scam. That's actually a good thing for us that they did that. But when they call, they claim you may have a warrant. They claim you may have owed taxes. We've seen a lot. They've claimed that a suspicious package has been intercepted that was addressed to you, and they'll hint that it's either drugs or money. So they're going to accuse you of being a drug trafficker, a money launderer. That's the fourth one here. And then they're going to get you to try. They also may ask you for PII. I have it in the slide here. But what they're really trying to do is either get you to send money to rectify the situation. This won't happen. If the IRS wants money from you, or if the government's looking for you, they're gonna generally do it in writing. They're not going to do it over the phone. We've seen, I think, the two biggest groups of, I guess, the government agencies of the scam that we've seen over the last year and a half. It's two types. You get a call from ICE, the Immigration Customs Enforcement, saying that you've entered with a fake passport. We've seen a lot of those, and we've seen the Chinese police, Chinese consulate saying that the suspicious package has been intercepted, and you're going to have to send some money over to pay for all the legal fees. The cases that have been reported to us are, anywhere from, say, $10,000, but we've seen a lot of them over $100,000, some as high as $400,000 or $500,000. We saw one recently in a college. I guess they're targeting that college. I think maybe there was more high worth people attending it. It was a prestigious college here, which I won't name, but these scammers are targeting people of Chinese descent. And so the last one that I wanted to speak about was we generally call it investment romance scam. I think the English translation is pig butchering scam.
杀猪盘.
Yeah, and so we've seen a lot of really big dollar amount losses with these type scams. So I think a lot of people are familiar with this, but the basic scam is the scammer is going to contact you via a social networking site, usually through direct message. So LinkedIn, dating sites, Instagram, yeah, and Facebook Messenger, or these communication apps, WhatsApp, WeChat. I mean, even if you guys do as a Signal, Telegram, but if you're using Signal, you're probably more hip to these things. But if anybody has any other chat platforms or social networking sites that they've received these messages, if you can put that in the chat, that would help me out just to understand where the scope of the universe of how the attackers are trying to get to us. But so they engage somebody, they engage you. It's usually a cold call or usually a random text, or sometimes if it's LinkedIn, it's more targeted. Like they'll look for cryptocurrency or some sort of passion in your profile that's going to get them to know they're going to talk to you about that or an investment opportunity in that. They'll break the ice, knowing that you do have an interest in that. But they engage you, they speak to you, and then eventually money gets involved. So sometimes they'll, in these scams, they'll pretend to be a boyfriend or girlfriend. Like these types of scams really feed on a person's kind of natural tendencies towards, say, greed or towards the need for companionship. So after, you kind of have these conversations, sometimes they get you money, send money based on a relationship. Some like, hey, I'm in trouble, or I need to get certain things through customs, or I need to be able to make it back to my country. And can you send me money? Can you send me $10,000? Can you send me, all sorts of amounts, whatever they think they can get. The other thing, when sometimes it forks off on those relationship-based scams, they'll ask to send compromising pictures, early on the relationship or during the relationship, and it'll be an extortion type scam, a threat made. So we have a lot of those that start out as these kind of like random reach outs, and they'll threaten to leak explicit photos of you unless you give them money. And then the fake investment is where we've seen a lot of the bigger hits. Generally, people who are looking to invest, well, it's a pretty convincing script, and this is scripted. If you want to know more, there's some really good YouTube videos out there that we'll walk you through it in kind of a quick video. But what I have here on the right is actually a text message that I got through WhatsApp from the person who's purporting to be this lady in the profile photo. Oftentimes they'll lead in with, "Hey, I haven't seen you. Let's get dinner together," like this one. We've seen a lot of cases where they'll say, "Hey, I'm in town for a little while. Let's meet up." And I'm sure there's plenty of people in the audience that have other lead-ins, other ways that they struck up this conversation. So after this text, well, I'll go to the next slide. Some of these conversations can last for months. So mine lasted, I only chatted with this person for a day or 2 days, all right, because I wanted to find out, at that time I was investigating other similar cases. I wanted to see what the end goal was for this. And well, what happens next is, in the conversation, the scammer is going to have knowledge of your location. This person was able to speak about New York City. They knew I had a New York City area code. They were pretty good. Some are not so good. A lot of these are coming from call centers or little rings where one person might be chatting with you one day and somebody might not be another person will be chatting you the next day. So you'll find inconsistencies in the stories. You might ask them, "Hey, what? It was really nice talking about something last night," and that person may not know necessarily what it is. And June's had some experience with some of the inconsistencies that he's noticed in profile photos. So they're going to create profiles either in Facebook and other platforms, but they're not going to be consistent. So June, maybe you can talk about what you've seen in some of the Facebook ones.
So normally I was talking to Captain, say, let's ask yourself a question. How many audience would have, like, you are a girl, you really find a guy very attractive online, will you just randomly send in a message, say, I'm very interesting to you, I want to date you, ask how I want to ask the female audience we have, how many of you would do that? Probably not a lot, right? So why, if you are a guy, what you think you are a lucky one, you will receive, all right, a cute girl randomly text you a message, they're very into you, right? And ask yourself some question like that. And also, when you look at their profile, right, on social media, Instagram, Facebook, right, most of the time you will find them online all the time, and they will make you feel, or they can make money very easily, very, very easy. And it make you feel like the way you're working hard is the wrong way, and they will help you to be rich very quickly. Then if you check their profile, the website, yeah, you find, let's say, give a perfect example. Let's say they will use maybe the Filipinos name, but they look like Chinese, and they tell you the location they were born in the mainland China. Then they use the traditional Chinese, because mainland we use a simplified Chinese. We're typing the simplified Chinese. Then just a lot of things you feel like inconsistent. Just ask yourself. And normally they like to post it their marital status, single, divorce, separate. Just check that real quick and look at their friends. See, they will follow, let's say, the female scammer may try to follow a lot of like random guy, and you feel like they're not even connected. Like they not relate to each other. And let's say if we have the social media, a lot of our social media, you're following, the people following you, they may be your friend, your colleague. But if you click their friends, what they are following is just a random people. You feel like it's and normally they have very they like to target to the person like you actually is like look good, you look cute, and just those little trick you want to be careful with, and you will find out the person probably is speaking to probably a scammer. It's very inconsistent. Those information, the location, the culture, the picture they posted, just very suspicious. They're not built up like the perfect person you admit in a normal life. Yes.
Yeah, so but sometimes you're blinded by, what, like I said, greed or the need for companionship. So we work with the victims to help them understand what happens, because well, I had a friend who was in the middle of this, and he was $200,000 into this scam, and he still believed it. But so let's go with we'll keep going. The conversations can last, months. I mean, they could think they have a real relationship with these people. Over those months, or in the beginning when they steer, they'll steer the conversation towards an investment. So this is the fake investment part of the romance investment scam. And they'll usually steer it towards crypto or foreign exchange. So Forex, foreign currencies, stuff that I think the average person may not completely understand. So the scammer, like the people being scammed, are trying to understand crypto or Forex, which is a foreign concept maybe to them. And they're not seeing that there's a lot of red flags also with the mechanism, how they send the money. A lot of times what we've seen now is they'll get people to wire money to Coinbase. Coinbase is a legitimate cryptocurrency exchange. And people have heard of that, but then they get them to send the crypto, usually the US dollar token, the Tether, to an address. And what happens is they have these fake trading sites that look very real. So when people send money over there, and it credits an account, they can log into the account, it feels real. There's even real apps that connect to servers that subjects control. We were looking at trying to understand some of these trading platforms that you can download that just connect to servers. So MetaTrader was one that was legit. It's an actual app, but it can connect to servers that the bad guys control. But they steer this towards investment that most people understand. They get money wired over to places. They show trading profits. My friend, he thought he had turned $200,000 into $1.9 million. That's what the site was showing. The next stage of the scam, when they bleed you for all the money that you can send over, then when you try to take the money out, they're going to claim that you have to pay the withholding taxes before you can take it out. And that's where I caught my friend in that stage of the scam. He still didn't believe it because one, it's a lot of money that he lost, and two, it seems so real. The profits seem so real. Something that was common with the person that I was chatting with and the person that I know in a lot of these cases, the scammer will refer to their rich uncle or their uncle who taught them how to be financially independent or how to trade, and they would rely on them to make the trades. And then they were always profitable because they controlled the servers as well on these fake sites. But I think if anybody has, I look through, if anybody has like any of the other platforms that they may have seen themselves, or they may have friends have been or family have been scammed on, that would be great. So I can also look through complaints, and when we deal with complainants, then we can ask them, hey, did you go through this chat software or this social networking platform as well? So that's I'm just going to recap some of the general tips that we went through these types of scams. I know there's a lot of questions there. I'm going to see if I can maybe answer some of them in bunches, but general tips, like we'll just go through it. So be aware when clicking texts or emails. That was part of our police commissioner's campaign, which I'll mention in a sec. But we click. I mean, if you work, especially if you work in a company, clicking these phishing links can be devastating for companies. But personally, they're also devastating. We've seen business email compromises where somebody clicks a phishing link and now the network's compromised, and businesses may wire. Businesses are going to be wiring hundreds, if not millions of dollars. One slip up with a routing number because it looked like a right email, but it wasn't. Has cost a lot of companies, and we get those cases as well. But for all you out there, this is common sense. Be aware when clicking links. Some of these phishing emails look really, really good. Some of these texts look, like you may have an Uber Eats account, and you'll just click it because you're used to clicking on things from there. But if you get something, you think you're getting your account's compromised or it's a real alert, just log in using the associated app. If you have Chase, log in through the Chase app, or type in or Google the actual site address. Don't click the link. Then you can put your mind at ease that it's not a real alert. Use different passwords across accounts. There's these password management apps, LastPass, OnePass. There's a bunch of them. What they do is or you can just write them down on a piece of paper that you're going to keep safe. But use different passwords across different accounts. If you get phished and you use the same password on a lot of your accounts, then the scammers are going to go through as many accounts as they can and move things. Just a reminder, government agencies, utility companies will always send their requests for money in writing. We get a lot of people trying to pay Con Ed bills, through gift cards and things like that. The electricity company is not going to ask you to pay the bill through gift cards and things like that. So that gets me to gift cards. Time anyone asks you to pay in gift cards, Money Pack or Green Dot cards, which are just cash cards, don't. That's a scam. At ATM machines, cover your fingers when you do when you're typing in your PIN. You can look for cameras. It's good when we spot them because then not many people are aware. But also at ATMs, we've been seeing there's people that linger by ATMs who, one, will try to look over your shoulder and get your PIN and then maybe grab your card. But two, they'll try to get you. There's been a couple groups in Manhattan and Brooklyn that they'll hover around there and ask you to deposit a check for them because they don't have a bank account, that's a fraudulent check, and it's going to bounce, but they're going to ask you to take out the funds and give it to you. Oftentimes they use intimidation. The several patterns that we looked at, the perpetrators were large in stature, and they were intimidated. They didn't use overt threats, but the body language was very threatening. So just watch who's lingering around the ATMs. It's just another common sense thing. And then the last just general piece of advice when you think something's fishy, ask a friend or a family member for an opinion. These scammers are really good because it's misdirection of the mind. It's misdirection of a whole bunch of different things. Ask somebody to take a look. Ask somebody if they think it's real. It could be a friend, family. It could be, the police department. I'll give you, there's a couple numbers that will come up later on that could be good resources for you. So like I said, our police commissioner had just announced a scam awareness campaign here on October 6th. The fact that a lot of these, the rise in grand larcenies this year, can be attributed to scams, or at least it's part of the grouping of crimes in grand larceny. She established a scam hotline. You can give them a call to see if they can help you identify if it's a scam or not. They're not going to take a case for you. We'll go into how to report an actual crime in the next slide or two. But they can help. But generally, if you're thinking about calling this phone number, it's a scam. It's just, that's a common sense thing. If you have that feeling, it's going to be a scam. The next resource is on our website. Thank you, Robert, for putting actually a lot of these links up as we go through. This is a link to our NYPD crime prevention safety tip section. I'll see if I can bring it over just so you can see it now. So that's the cover of a crime prevention book. It's not just about scams. It's about crime prevention in general. There's copies of it here in it's in English, Spanish, Chinese, this book. It's just a lot of good common sense things that the police department wants to put out to help in everybody's safety. There's a bunch of other crime prevention related material. I think somebody asked about the rental scams. The rental listing scam is also here on this site, that this infographic. So that's a good resource to go through. Another good resource, and it's more real time, is going to be social media. So the NYPD has a Facebook page. Sometimes they put out wanted flyers, crime trends there. That's for all of New York City, as is the Twitter page. The local precinct Twitter page is where you're going to get something more specific to where you live. And so I have a Twitter post from a good friend of mine. He's the commanding officer, the 24th precinct, Inspector Yaguchi. And here's him posting a build a block meeting, which is a meeting where community members and the neighborhood coordination officers, the ones who are tasked to be the problem solvers for those individual parts of that precinct, where they can meet and discuss crime trends and issues. These build a block meetings are often put there, as well as trends or something in the area. Sometimes they put, hey, if there's a big disturbance, they'll put it out here that, hey, avoid this intersection. You may, run into a large disturbance or something of that effect. And so here's a couple of, I'm sorry, this slide's a little, I wanted to put links on here, but this is where you can report crimes. These are the general places that that I would offer as places to go. So of course, any police precinct, you can report a crime there. 911 for emergencies, 311 for non-emergencies. So non-emergencies are, not necessarily the scams, but this is for like noise complaints, blocked hydrants, blocked driveways, sorry. And other things that are non-emergency. Emergency is going to be like, hey, if you need a uniformed police officer to show up, there's somebody at your door, you hear people fighting, you have an immediate need. This is what you call. Or hey, if your house was burglarized, 911 is also the place to call. So there's translation available in the precincts using language lines, and also on using 911 and 311. 311, you can also access, there's an online version for those people who like to use that. Current immigration status is not a factor. New York City Police Department will not ask your current immigration status. It has no bearing on your police response or reporting of a crime. So don't worry about that. If you have questions about a hate crime, or if you know somebody who may be the victim of a hate crime, or you have other questions, the Hate Crimes Task Force is reachable by this email address, hctf@nypd.org. They have a couple wonderful Chinese-speaking detectives that, one of them I used to work with. If you have any questions and need anything from them there. I saw some questions in the chat regarding where to report some of these types of fraud, cyber fraud. I think somebody mentioned the FBI. The FBI's cybercrime intake portal is this Internet Crime Complaint Center, the IC3. The link is here, ic3.gov. You can report there, and you can report at a police precinct. Generally, these telemarketing scams, they can go to both. I think the FBI, there's a question about the FBI in a case, so I can't really speak for them. But FBI has a large threshold, for crimes, a dollar amount loss for the crimes that they'll investigate. If you're a victim, I believe if it's a New York field office, I don't have it here, but there are numbers for the New York field office. That's probably, I see a message from Yang about that. So I don't know how long, but that might be a place to start. And then if you're on a college campus, the university police, that's a place you can also report things as well. They might know sort of on a more micro level what's going on. Columbia University, CUNY University, NYU, they all have either a police or a security, a safety team. And so that's about all I have. So my email's listed here. If you have any specific questions, I'll try to help you out, or try to find, if I can't help you out, I'll try to find who can. And I think I'll just, I know we're running low on time, but I'll open up, Robert, for questions or comments or anything.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brian. That's very informative, and this is a very rare opportunity for us to talk with actual NYPD officers. So thank you so much. So we got a lot of questions in the chat room, and we also have some of our friends raising their hands. So let me just try to group some of the questions so that you can ask a bunch of them together. So one of the common themes from the chat room is that if we're not sure whether or not NYPD will be able to help us, or if we're not sure if we should even report the crime, or we're not sure even if we report it, there's anything that the NYPD can do about it. So in those situations, should we still report it, and where should we report it?
So I would say yes. I would say if we can't help you, it's still information that might help the next person. A lot of these, we've actually, I think there's some questions of, hey, like the money goes overseas, is it completely gone? Right. And I would say for the most part, it's tough to get back. And then somebody asked about a time frame. If you get scammed and you wired money out, if it's an international wire, generally like 48 hours, if we can initiate a kill chain through some of our federal partners, IC3, if you report it to IC3, they have teams, from what I understand, that will initiate a kill chain. So domestic wires 48, international wires 48 hours, domestic 24. But I would say report it. We've had success stories where it's been 5 days, 10 days. We'll try. My task force will try to initiate recalls and kill chains for out of country. Look, it's worth a shot. So I would say report it. And yeah, like I said, the information that we get from that one might help us for the next one. So one of our cases took us to Singapore, where we at least established a contact with the Singapore police force. If there's anything that they can do in real time, we've helped them out in real time when they've reached out and say, hey, there's some money that moved into a particular account. Can you reach out to your domestic contacts, and we'll do it. So yes, report it. You can report these things at precincts. The attempted ones where no money's lost, I think somebody had this here. So those can be attempted. We can mark a crime as attempted. There's still information to get there. So if they want to do that, they can. It doesn't have to be a loss. It can be attempted, but we also find a balance. Hey, some people don't want to report it because they don't want to, take the time to. And so that's a balance. That's a what you call it, a personal choice.
Yeah. So here I will just make a quick comment to all the audience. So based on my experience, I would highly encourage everyone to report it to the police, because once later on, if you want to, start a legal action, it's very, very helpful for you to have a police report. Oftentimes I found my clients in a very disadvantaged position in a legal proceeding when the court asks, do you have a police report? And my client says, no, I didn't file a police report. In that case, you lose a lot of credibility. I mean, you can still tell the court what happened, but without the support of a police report, you lose a lot of credibility. So I would highly encourage everyone to file a police report.
That's a good point, Robert. And there's something, I saw another question that I thought was important. If you were the victim of a data breach or a phish, and your credentials are out there, your PII is out there. We recommend here, at least if you have a social security number and you're afraid that, now that somebody else has it, may take out a loan, try to, basically make you a victim of identity theft. One of the things we tell people to do is lock down their hard credit inquiries at the 3 major credit unions. So our credit agencies, so TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. I think you can Google it, just the three credit agencies. That's what we tell people to do. Chances are you're going to be, it's going to be a recurring problem. I have a friend who, every few years I guess his name is on a list that's already out there. He'll have to go back and report, hey, there's somebody opened an account in my name here. So he also does one of those credit check, those agencies that do credit checks or credit monitoring. Sorry, we can't recommend any one, but they're out there. You can Google it. People are talking about, hey, what do I do with the second when people? Richard asked a question about phishing and smishing and how people can bypass second factor or two-factor authentication. This is something I was going to speak about. It's more of in the identity theft realm, but there's a phenomena or crime called SIM swapping or SIM porting. A lot of times, if someone's targeting you, and what they'll do is, pay a nefarious actor or a dishonest employee to basically port your number to the bad guy's phone, to their phone. And so now the bad guy is going to receive the second factor authentication, the text saying, hey, did you want it to reset your password? So if you notice that your cell phone service goes out, for a few hours or it goes out for a while, just get with your telecom company to see if somebody ported your phone number. Those are generally targeted because they're looking to make big scores. So, our experience is that they'll buy lists off the dark web or through Telegram channels of high net worth accounts. But that's something about second two-factor authentication to be aware of.
So Brian, we have some of our friends raising their hand. Can I will let some of them to ask their questions.
Well, sorry, I just want to say, 我们有微信群哈，那个 NYPD 以后我们会after periodically 我们会跟他们合作，然后他们会invite的这个警官一段时间来会跟我们做这个 public service 的这些 introduction， 就是让我们大家对这个城市里面的警察的这个功能哈，就是有一些了解，所以大家可以扫码先进这个 everybody you have WeChat, you can scan, go to this group. In the future, we will invite more of them coming back to talking about different, the self protection thing. 好，那
Okay. So Donald Tang, you can speak. Donald Tang, are you still there? Okay. Then we go to the next person. Xinjia, is Xinjia still there? How about Roy Sung? All right, then
I have a question.
okay.
So I think that many people on our platform, they were scammed by, you know, from other group. They came to me, the amount is pretty large. So one question is, how is it possible to, how much percentage that in your experience, Captain, and your client get their money back, or like get maybe 50% or 20%? And did you see anyone in the especially 杀猪盘哈，就是那个crypto or other those latest
Pig pushing.
Pig pushing. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a good question. I don't have the stats, but I'll tell you there's not a ton of success, especially when, you know, these things happen. Well, I would say fast. If they're not reported right away, and often we don't get them right away because sometimes people don't know they're scammed, and others are embarrassed to come forward. But what I would say is that, yeah, if after a couple of days, and money's wired out, generally we're not getting the money back because it's generally gone. They're very organized, especially these I mean, it's basically a lot of these are organized crime syndicates. So whether they're Asian, in a lot of in the pig butchering scams, or there's other countries that have, you know, their particular variety. But we don't get a ton of money back. I would say we've, if it's fast, we've actually got big money back. But that's, like I said, with if the money's domestically wired 24 hours, we have some good success rates, 48 for international. Yeah, it's.
But we still, so in summary, if the money out, you don't have a hope to get back, but you still can file FBI, right? Because that's just for the recording. Do you suggest to do that?
I would say either, like both FBI and us. I would say, yeah, like we can both be working towards it at the same time. We have bank contacts. There's other ways to try to stop money from moving. But once it leaves the bad actor's bank account, and with crypto, basically once it's somewhere we can't touch, which I don't really want to put out there because, I don't want to also encourage people to do crime smartly. But I would say that, yeah, once the money moves out of the first account, it's tough to get back.
Unfortunately, because I do see a lot of questions private sent to us, and they either the family or the friend or themselves to be scammed. So I would want to say that I have friends close to me have experience. So I think we still should report, right? But then we should learn for it and try to prevent the people around us. And like you just mentioned, don't talk to people. Right now, I tell people, don't chat to people until you really see them in person. Online, just too many scams. Okay, so thank you very much. I think I don't know whether
Officer Wu has something to add.
No, regarding to the question, I just want to add, if the transaction is still pending, when we do all the transaction on your bank account, credit card, so first day will show pending. So if it is pending, will be much easier for the user, for the victim to stop the payment, to cut it off. And the bank normally ask too much. They say, all right, you can just tell them, all right, I don't know what happened to my bank account. Maybe I get scammed. Maybe someone used my. So it's easier. So once the transaction is finalized, so that will turn into very difficult. They may ask you to file a police report, and if our police report, then the bank need to do investigation, see if they can get your money back. So one thing I will highly recommend, so everyone, you should set alarm or notification, send you notification, any movement regarding to your bank account should send you a notification to your phone. So that will help. So they will help you to stop when the illegal transaction, unauthorized transaction happen. So we can stop it right away. And later, maybe regarding to a police investigation, we know what time, the time we go for it, that's the unauthorized transaction happened. So we can do a little investigation. Maybe someone cash out from this location. We can go there, check the camera. So it's easier. I highly recommend everybody set alarm on your bank account.
Yeah, so I think just like the whole point of, thank you for letting us be here is like how Angeline said, it's prevention, it's awareness, and if we can spread that around, that's what we're aiming to do here, to get people to, before they get scammed, to understand what scams are coming their way, and that's the way they'll not be scammed.
Oh, I remember I want to ask you a question, Captain. And so since I think the FBI and also the newspaper start to recognize that there's这杀猪盘的这种情况, this kind of scenario, does the FBI and the U.S. security they try to do something internationally to isolate? I know they probably in South Asian triangle place that really no policeman can touch, right? But can the whole international to give them pressure that so those people can stop doing these things. Did you guys make any effort?
So I know, well, I can't speak for them, but I know that these things are on their radar because they're actually on our radar. We work with the feds a lot on, if we can reach out and touch international bad actors, we will, and we have. I'm not saying we've done it in this case, but it's difficult, but we do try. And I'm sure the FBI, I can't speak for them, specifically, but it's pretty, like you said, it's recognized as a very prominent thing now. I think it started at least going global 2018, I think, when I was reading some of this research. So yeah, it's here and people know about it. We'll do what we can.
Yeah, I think the Laura, because Robert, I did not can unmute them. So before you call them, they can't talk. So we have to manually unmute. So Laura is on the call. So Captain, can you still take a few minutes?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, if you really need to go, let us know. But I think we unfortunately can unmute them, but maybe we'll let one or two people from the London talk. Everyone only have one question, okay? So Laura, do you have a question?
Yeah, hi, it's me. Yeah, thank you very much for the presentation and organization. I ask, what can we do if we know receive the text scam? We just ignore them or delete them or block the sender. Does all this work?
Yeah, so there's a couple things you could do. I mean, I usually just ignore them. And then if they're interesting, you can report them to the telecom carriers. So it's a little bit more involved. If you want to, a lot of these numbers are going to be voice over IP numbers that text you, so internet numbers. But if you look up, there's a bunch of free carrier lookup applications on the internet. So you put the phone number in, for instance, and it tells you, oh, that's a T-Mobile number, or that's a T-Mobile wireless number. Or what you're going to see in the voice over IP world, you're going to see the bandwidth.com. And if that number you believe is a scam number, you can report that number to bandwidth.com or whatever the telecom provider is, and they'll take a look at it. The IC3 portal, the FBI is one. I'm not sure exactly what they do with them, but I know that they have the power to report them to these abuse email addresses, and we do that too when we get them in cases. I don't know if there's like one mechanism for it, but you can ignore them, delete them. If you start talking to them, you're going to get on other lists. If you answer the phone and you speak with them, the scammers often pass around lists of people who actually picked up, who are actually talking to. So it's better not to talk to them. And if you want to report them to the telecom provider or the IC3.
Sure.
Okay, so this is the text. Sorry. And how about the phone? If the phone call, I know it's the spam. So we just don't pick up, don't talk, right?
Yeah, I got that. Oh, yeah. So I just wanted one thing. The Captain, and you mentioned very, very good point that many people don't know. So if someone, again, this is very important. I actually get learned from the week before too. Do not respond. Do not even get back, because once you respond, they know that you can talk to you. Then they will pass on your number to other company, because they are actually located in one same area, and a couple of companies like they have a shared list, right? So just ignore them, block them. When if you don't recognize the name, delete it. Don't answer the phone. I think that's very important for everyone to learn from here.
I started to get a lot of phone calls after I started speaking to that scammer.
Okay. So one more, the Chipan. Try to not talking about private person story too long, because we're out of time. So if you really have a question that you don't know, you want to ask, that'd be great. Chipan, we can't call you. Okay, so if you can't talk, then we skip to the next one. JH.
Oh, yeah. Hi. I have actually a question.
Hello, I can talk. Can I talk?
Can
you hear me?
Sorry. So JH, maybe we'll let Chipan, maybe he called from.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so
sure,
much.
Go ahead, Chipan. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a real case. I have a friend whose family member has committed identity theft and transfer a very large amount of money. It's more than $100,000. So I don't want to disclose the amount. So the money has been transferred through several banks. And the husband and wife is very old people, and they were sick. And so it's one of the children who have done that. So they reported it to police, and then they went through all the banks. Right now it has been several months and there's no results. And the banks are treat them very poorly, because they don't speak, their English is very limited, and and they're Chinese. So in this case, my question would be, police doesn't really do that much. Right now, it's still in the police, not in the prosecutor. So the likelihood for them to getting money back, what's the possibility? It has been several months. This happened probably in June.
So without knowing too much more about that, it depends where that money is. I mean, if you said it's the
money is within the, actually it's transferred through 4 banks. And then I know $100,000 went to China, wired. So that happened in probably somewhere, I would believe is in April.
Yeah. And
are banks responsible for this?
So it depends what the circumstances are. A lot of the bank, it depends on each case. So if somebody willfully sends money, but they were tricked into it, the bank's not going to reverse generally the banks aren't going to reverse the transaction. You were tricked, you did it. I think that's the stance of a lot of banks, whether it's right or wrong. It seems to be the policy. I think in your case, because I don't think we'll be able to answer that here on this call, but if that family wants to, if they wants to reach out to me with the complaint number that when they filed the report, I could take a look. But if you're telling me it was months ago, and there hasn't been much movement, I wouldn't keep my optimism too high, but I can take a look at it if they want to reach out to me with that complaint number, and I can follow up.
Okay, it's not the New York State. That's the point. It's in New Jersey.
If that's the case, then maybe they can.
They just want some people who can help because they're really devastated.
So if we can reach out to our colleagues in Jersey and try to find out if they want to.
Okay.
If they want to come over, I think maybe if they want to connect with me, I don't know what else I could do for them, but I'll have to find out what the circumstances are. Yeah.
It is a really mind-blowing case. It's very complicated. I happen to be involved to help.
Chipan, we run out of time. So
thank you so much.
And offer the help, and you can take this private. How about that? Okay. Last question.
I can send you an email. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
last question, since last time we asked JH, because I know Roberts is still sitting in McDonald's. Okay, JH, your last question.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. A quick question actually. My husband's identity got stolen, and then he had his credits frozen. We didn't lose anything. But just the question about the Social Security, I just wonder, there's no connection between those credit bureaus with the Social Security, right? So we still have to monitor his Social Security ourselves, right?
So I would do both, because what freezing your the harder inquiries on those credit agencies,
right,
prevent somebody from, like taking out a loan using that Social Security number.
Right, he did that.
But you want to also monitor. So in my friend's case and a couple other cases, if they, unfortunately, that's why identity theft is such a sticky problem. They might open. So in my friend's case, they opened cell phone accounts in his name, but somewhere else. And then of course, they used that phone, and then they dropped the service and kept the phone. So they can do all sorts of these other little identity theft type crimes that don't involve a credit hard inquiry. But the big ones, like somebody getting a house in your name or something like that, those are the ones, or getting credit cards in your name. That's the one that freezing your credit at these bureaus will help you with.
Okay, yeah. What about the Social Security? Like
those are connected to the credit bureaus, the Social Security.
Oh, okay. So in the future, let's say because they have his Social Security number, and then in the future, and then they can get his Social Security, like those stuff, right? No.
I mean, if they're trying to take his identity and then take his Social Security payments, that's something that you can take up with, of course, the Social Security Administration. If the payments aren't coming in, they're going to someone else, then they'll deal with that. Just the same way unemployment with the state, whoever's going to be doling out the funds, if you're not getting them, you can go to them for the answer, like to fix it.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, we are serious run out of the time, and I really appreciate. Thank you. I know a lot of people are victims. We can feel your pain. We really appreciate, but sorry, this can never be ending, but we shift to the group. People can exchange in this group about, your lesson learned. I think the most, like I was saying, our purpose, we really can help you to get money back, but we can at least help prevention for the future. And then also for the people around you. And thank you again. Thank you, Robert. Thank you all the NYPD captains and June and Miss Lee. Thank you very much. And thank you all the people. Yeah, good night. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Recording stopped.
大家有问题的可以这个到群里问哈，或者也是可以，如果想留下来讲两句的，就是你可以像朱烈我知道你想问哈，这个我这边也有一些问题，因为警官他们都包括我们的主持人。朱烈，如果你想说两句的话，对其他的朋友可以先走哈。对，你说。
您好，有听到？
听到。
我有参加那个群里面了，我有一个很大的问题。刚才我有 message， 但是我看那个 Captain A 没有机会回答。
你说一下吧，因为我这边也有很多信息，是一个信息中心哈。你说一下，对。
我可以 email 他吗？
你当然可以，如果你有他的 email 哈，如果你有他 email。
刚才对。
要那个群啊，就没有扫群的，我再给你们一下哈。就是首先就是说这个 scam 哈，如果你是 victim 的话，这个尤其是杀猪盘的话，这个钱真的是拿不回来。我大概解释一下，因为这方面我也研究过哈，就是这个在这个泰国的这个三角地带，就是政府不能够，就是 international 政府都不能 involved， 就是他们很难，就那段就是这种贩毒啊，就是这个泰国和好像是越南还是吧，那个几个国家的一个三角地带，那些人呢都会聚集在那里，然后当你的这个 scam 钱一出去以后，他们一到那个骗子的账上，马上就 cash out， 然后他们就会就地下的洗钱庄会立即就出去了。所以刚才这个Captain N 说你基本上钱出去，你要是还没有 wire 出去，还在 pending 还可以 stop， 但是如果是你已经出去的话，如果你是从 Coinbase 或者是其他的地方，那你基本上钱一到账，他们马上就洗掉，他们会用 local 的 currency 直接洗掉，所以你基本上是没有机会拿回来。但是还是应该去file FBI 的这个 report 因为你如果是报税的话，你有这个 report， 你就是可以每年，当然不同的 tax 不一样哈。如果你是说今年，如果你 report 你的 investment，当然这个 Trump 在有一个规定也比较不巧 ，Trump 的规定是在好像5年之内，所有的 scam 都不能作为 financial loss， 但是你可以就 regular loss， 就是$3000一个人。但是如果是说你自己本身就是开 investment 的公司哈，那你如果比如说你去年 lost 50万，今年你的房地产或其他赚了50万，这个 loss 跟你的 scam 是可以 offset。当然这是我的这个也是调查了很多哈，因为我的朋友也是被弄，然后所以说就是但是你的钱基本上就是被骗了，就是真的拿不回来然后也没有希望。然后如果你觉得这个跟你说话骗你的这些人，他们基本上拿到你钱就消失了，他们就是那种团队像公司一样，基本上每天跟你讲话的都是不一样的人他们都是一个团队，用不同的话术甚至有心理学家，甚至招了这个非常专业的这些 blockchain 的人，他们都是经过训练的当然这个所以说我就是讲一下哈，就是反正这个大家扫这个群以后 NYPD 有什么活动他们也非常非常的热心，他们希望以后会经常给大家讲一讲，包括他们中间有一个是专门转 housing 的，有是专门管 transportation， 还有专门管地铁的，那他们会来跟大家讲你就是不同的 transportation 会有哪些注意事项，这种 public service， 我们大家移民到海外，对这个海外的这些景观系统像我也是不是很清楚，然后他们就到办公室跟我解释一下各种 ranking各种分不同的系，其实每个州也是不太一样，所以我觉得以后这方面我们也可以多介绍介绍。所以 Julia 像你的那个 case， 你要是 private 的话，对，你可以给他发一下对。
我是在加拿大的 Angeline。
你的加拿大加拿大的话，对，那你要 file， 我不知道你们加拿大的报税哈，但是这个钱要被骗是肯定拿不回来，因为我这边也有帮朋友追 case， 所以就只能 let it go， 然后对。
我已经有报警，但是另外一件事呢，我想请问我这个朋友呢，我是借给他，因为他的女儿在医院，我借了，现在都还在联系着，但是我真的很需要那笔钱回
你是说你把钱借给了别人是吧？
对。
那你当时有写借条吗？你有写借条吗？
他有啊。
你这个人是在美国还是在中国？
在美国。
是这样子对，首先你要看这个钱的多少哈。一般来说请律师的费用在美国是$500-6001小时如果是说你要是不想付钱呢，一般 contingent， 因为我是打过官司的哈，所以我也比较了解中间，后来我还打赢了。就是说这个律师费呢有几种，一种是你前期呢你先付一部分按小时，因为这个律师他还是想收一点钱。如果你的 case 非常非常实重，他觉得你胜算比较强的，一般来说他帮你去追钱追什么其他东西或者打官司，一般他们都会至少拿1/3，还有拿一半的。所以你算一下哈，我经常也有朋友来找我就帮他算，就说如果你就是$3万，然后呢你请了律师最后赢了你拿回来$3万，但是呢你要给律师$1万，那咱们就按30%。完了如果你自己的收入但是干个人情况，如果你是工作的，你薪水也超过在美国20-30万这样子一个家庭，或者是你超过，那你20万就是20-30%，那你拿到的这个钱你还要交税 当然就是说，当然你不一定啊。如果说这个钱是你已经税后的，可能不用交了，但是你1/3你是要还给交给律师。那交给律师，你拿到2/3，你又想想，你肯定要花几年时间在这上面，又花多少精力，所以有时候你是要 balance 啊。如果你的数额比较大的话，你就把所有的证据拿出来，你去找一个律师，他可能愿意帮你去追。哎，你这种 case 你可以找一下刚才 Robert 啊 ，Robert 是在我们平台也是成长的哈，所以从一开始，他也非常优秀，清华和耶鲁的，也是我同学，也是我的这个校友，然后也是做金融，后来考了。对，但他是非常极其优秀的，所以呢，他打了好多官司，其实从很小的 case 做起。我有跟他说，我说 Robert， 我们平台的钱你们要比外面的老外要便宜点哈。所以他只要是我这边介绍的，他一般会。但是有一点呢，他们现在这个华人的律师哈也反映，很多中国人不愿意花钱。这个你要打赢一场官司，你不花钱是肯定不可能，因为他们也要吃饭，对吧？每个人。所以呢，现在呢，华人的律师里面这些也是有很多人抱怨，就是很多人就是给人家打一个电话免费，完了以后问这问那，最后1分钱不出。所以一般来说，现在的情况，华人的律师现在好像最近也是希望改变这种风气。就起码你愿意掏钱，所以当你去找任何律师的时候，你应该主动。像我打官司的时候，我都是主动的。我当然找老外哈，我就说你现在开始记表啊，然后我现在需要知道这个问题，都是按分钟算钱。我找老外的时候都按分钟算钱，但是我的问题我准备好，我说你告诉我这个问题，我想知道这个问题，所以我付你钱。所以说就是你要舍得花钱，你才能可以赢官司。如果是说你就想。对，就是说你要，但是呢，你可以去找一下他，看他是在你那个州，有你的证据，有没有可以？如果你开始付不了什么钱，那他就会告诉你，我帮你追回来多少钱。就当然他肯定要 evaluate， 一般律师会 evaluate 你的 case 哈，首先他要看你证据强不强，他觉得有没有能力帮你打回来。如果他觉得他已经有80%-90%的胜算，那他就会说好，我接你的 case。像我当时找律师的时候，我当时打的是公司歧视的官司哈，跟不太一样。那么这个律师就跟我说，他说 Angeline， 一般来说100个人打电话，我们可能只接10个人，10个人里面可能我们只接1个案子，就是这样的。所以说，这个律师如果是说你的 case 没有准备的很好，像我是自己的证据都准备的特别好，所以你就要自己做好准备，然后呢，你自己也要舍得花钱，然后呢，你要去会沟通也很好，然后你就是说你要真的想去用法律的手段，我觉得还是可以的。但你必须要有借条哈，必须要借条。然后这种情况会发生什么情况呢？就是说，在这个人住的这个地方，如果是牵扯的数字比较大，那就是可以启动当地的法律，直接就诉讼放到他家里，然后让他上庭。如果他赖账把钱转移了，他说我1分钱没有，你就1分钱也拿不到。你拿不到，所以Julie 就是说，像告状借债的这种情况，如果想赖账的人太多了啊，想太多了，好多人就会转移钱，就是不光这老婆老公离婚都得转移钱的，最后1分钱没拿到是，所以呢，我觉得像你这种 case 哈，虽然因为我这打官司，我这平台嘛，经常有人打官司，打完了什么情况都会告诉我，然后我也会帮他分析。也算是经阅历吧，阅历它本身就是，所以反正就给你提这些建议哈。我见到的这些 case 各种各样都会有，找不同律师找完了会来告诉我他们情况最后是怎么样。就说，所以如果是说你的 case， 你这个人他本身他可以认可这个，如果他本身自己不是很有钱那他把他银行的账户一转到他的名下，他说可以啊，你可以告诉我啊，但是我没有钱给你，那法庭也拿你没办法，那你没办法。
OK， 我加您的微信，等一下我再留言给您。
好，我在那个群里，在那群里。对，找 Angeline 就可以。对，是我看这个还没有扫码的哈，就是这里还有100个朋友在听啊。那还有谁有问题吗？还有谁有问题？关于
非常感谢。
好，没问题。就还有100多人在那听哈，就是大家还有什么问题吗？就是探讨什么的。那很有可能是大家有问题的话，你可以举手哈。录像会放在群里，会放到我们的 YouTube 上面。录像会放到我们 YouTube 哈，一般来说是第2星期星期二。我觉得那个对，这个警官给的案子呢，他也给的网站，回头我让那个 Robert 把那几个网站放给大家。他讲的东西呢，网站也有很详细的。但是呢，就是说，我觉得 具体的还是到每个人的 case 还是不一样哈，所以说每个人 case by case。好，录像会在下个星期，有什么问题也可以跟警官联系，有些时候就只能认了哈。如果是说真的是如果是警察也叫不回来，然后证据也不是很确凿，对方你也找不到，真的这种办法就是只能 let it go 哈 ，let it go， 然后钱丢了人还在，要这么想啊，就是这么想。好。我没有看见有人举手，那我们就这样哈，我们就这样，对，好，谢谢大家，我关了啊，关了哈，拜拜。哎
如果打电话去警察那边，他们会帮查吗？
首先你这个必须要立案啊，你要立案，你要报警，对，立案。像你这他不会警察不管这种私人的钱的事情，这种是律师管，警察只管就是这种街道上的呀，或者有人破门而入啊，就是他也跟我讲过，有些案例像这种情况，你就是要请律师和法庭来处理，他们就不处理这种事情。我不觉得你这个事情是警察可以给你一个电话打的，你可以去报案，报案以后他们会转给就是说如果有些人破门而入啦，在马路上抢你的钱啦，撞车这种，警察就来了，他们就是那种案件当时发生事情的情况。但是如果你是有 case 的这种，你就要请律师。
因为有时候他讲他分了什么，在家里没有回复我的原因啊，什么这样子，我真的。
如果说你已经追账追很久，这个人就不想还你的钱了，那你打电话也没有用，你就要，你要不就飞过来，你要不就在这边委托，就真的找律师上他家上班。
对，
那你就要花这个钱，你要找人去，那现在都是这样，你就是要花钱做这个事情，但你就想你那笔钱大不大，对不对？值不值得这个事情？
谢谢。
好嘞，对，好，谢谢啊，那我就先关了，好，谢谢大家，拜拜，拜拜。
非常这样，拜拜。